Pretty Girl Club. So today the pretty girls in the Discord were talking about using their unique features to enhance their pretty privilege. So I decided to go ahead and do a video about it. By the way, if you want to be a part of my Discord, you can do that by joining the Patreon. It's only $5 a month. I've got over 100 additional pieces of content that are just private to the Patreon, and we've got a Discord in there where you can talk to other Exoticals. But I want to talk about using your unique features to your advantage. So, number one is you want to ask yourself, what actual advantage do I want? Because a lot of women, I'll use 4C hair as an example. A lot of women who hate their 4C hair, the reason they hate it has something to do with social status in most cases. Sometimes it could be something else, like maybe you don't want to take your time to do it or something. But in terms of pretty privilege, which is what we're talking about, you want to ask yourself, okay, who do I care about receiving pretty privilege from? Because a lot of the women who complain that their 4C hair doesn't give them pretty privilege, what they really mean is the people who I want to receive the privilege from don't like the 4C hair. So then my question for them is, okay, well, who did you want to receive the pretty privilege from? Was it black men? Was it white men? Was it women or something? You wanted your white girlfriends to compliment your hair. So that's step number one, is identifying the target of who you want to give you that pretty privilege. It could be a company. For some of you guys, you are into modeling or influencing. You want to get brand deals. And so if you want a brand deal with a hair company, well, if it's a black owned brand, maybe black women own that brand, then that means that you want your pretty privilege to work with black women. And so that is something to think about. You want to be strategic when you are deciding for yourself, okay, how do I want to use my pretty privilege? If I had 4C hair, what I would do is utilize that 4C hair to make me stand out. So let's say you live in an area where everybody's white, everybody has straight hair or something like that. You can actually utilize your uniqueness, and yes, you can utilize tokenism to your advantage by being the only person with your hair that literally looks like a cloud, or it's like, reaching up towards the sky. So that is one of the ways that you can use your unique features to your advantage. It's by using it to stand out. Because remember, anything that is unique about you, that is actually a conversation starter. So I know that for me, when I was growing up, like in my hometown, it was over 96% white. And I remember whenever I would wear my hair curly, I was the talk of the town. Everybody would stop me at school. They'd be like, oh my gosh, I love your hair. Oh, how did you do your hair? Oh, did you braid your hair? Did you twist it or something? Like, how did you get it like that? And so if you have a unique feature that maybe nobody else in your circle has, it could be 4C hair, it could be light eyes, it could be freckles, it could be light skin. If you're surrounded by unambiguous dark skinned people, yes, I said it. Any feature that you have that stands out in the crowd can be utilized to enhance your pretty privilege. All you have to do is make that particular feature look pretty and basically emphasize that feature. So for example, one unique hairstyle with 4C hair is you can wear your hair in these two puffs on top of your head. I've seen girls with 4C hair wear like space buns, and it looks very beautiful. That's actually one of my favorite hairstyles. That is very much like an Instagram hairstyle. I just feel like space buns, it very much gives like IG baddie. But if you want to use your unique features to stand out, all you have to do is highlight that particular feature. And I guarantee you that if you highlight that feature and go into work or go into whatever social scenario, someone's going to bring it up. Someone is going to make it the topic of conversation. And I've noticed that the same women who get mad when one of your features is the topic of conversation, those women don't get mad when their features are the topic of conversation. So let's say you're in a room full of dark-skinned people, you are the one light-skinned person, and then somebody brings up your complexion stands out or something. Then people will get mad, but it's like, well, no, if you're a dark-skinned person in a room full of light-skinned or white people, you will actually experience dark-skinned privilege. All of my skin tone privilege videos will be kept behind a paywall. I'm absolutely not going to talk about that stuff publicly because that's the type of content that I feel I should be paid to talk about. So if you want more info about that, you're going to have to join my actual membership page, which is where you get access to other videos. But another thing that you want to take note of is who compliments you when you are highlighting that feature. So when I think of myself, anytime I wear type 4 hair extensions, you guys know I'm into my synthetic pieces. You guys know I love my little cankalon. It could be like a ponytail. I think that's type 4. Kind of the stretched afro cankalon ponytails that you can wear in a braid or something like that. Or you can do like some sort of ponytail. So anytime I've worn type 4 hair, I've noticed I get a lot more attention from like unambiguous black men. I'm personally more of a decentering men channel, but for those of you who are utilizing the male gaze to your advantage, that is something that you should think about when you're strategizing. Like, okay, who compliments my 4C hair the most? Is it black people, white people, Asian people? Is it people at my job? Is it people at the grocery store? Who compliments my hair the most? Do I care about compliments or do I care more so about money and brand deals? So that's number one is you want to always know what your pretty privilege goals are. And by the way, you don't have to have a particular goal if you don't want to. Some women just want to look good and feel good and that's it, and that's good enough for them. For some women, they will use their pretty privilege to build their daughter's confidence. I've seen this happen over and over again. This is something my mom did with me. My mom actually has more like type 2 hair, but I've noticed that a part of the reason why I didn't have as much of a problem with embracing my curls, no, it wasn't just because of the media. It was also because I had a direct role model as a child who wore her hair in its natural state. I didn't grow up with a mom who complained about her hair texture or she constantly wanted to hide it or she constantly didn't like how she looked or something like that. So for some women who will shame your hair, what they're really doing is projecting because their mother, maybe their mother with 4C hair hated her hair. And so then, she's projecting that onto you or she thinks that you look worse with your 4C hair. That is all just a sign of number one, projection, but also number two, it's a sign of jealousy. It's typical good girl syndrome. Okay. So this is another part of good girl syndrome. You're afraid of breaking social norms. 4C hair inherently breaks social norms because it's not, let's be honest, it's not the social norm to see people walking around with their natural 4C hair. Unless maybe you live in a black neighborhood or something like that, then maybe it's more common. But generally speaking, that is not something you see on an everyday basis. And so you're already going to get more eyes on you by even wearing your hair out if you're in an environment where it's not normally shown. So that's one way you can use unique features to enhance your pretty privilege is by looking pretty while simultaneously emphasizing that feature. Another thing you can do is think back on the types of compliments you have received on that particular feature. You can think to yourself, okay, what do people normally compliment about my hair? Do they compliment its shine? Do they compliment the length of it? Do people compliment the versatility of my hairstyles? Because that's something else that you can take into consideration when you're playing around with your pretty privilege. By the way, every woman has the right to play around with her pretty privilege. She can maximize her pretty privilege if she wants to. She can minimize her pretty privilege if she wants to. But I feel like a lot of people try to bully us into constantly minimizing our beauty because beauty has been demonized. We live in a patriarchal society to where people would rather protect the predators. They'd rather protect literal pedophiles than just let you feel free in your beauty. And so sometimes people will project onto you and say, oh no, you can't show your hair, you can't show off your body shape. And it's like, no, if it's beautiful or if it's something that's unique, I have the right to utilize that to my advantage. Another thing you can think about is, let's say you're tall, for example. Let's say that is your unique feature. You're very tall. Maybe you're like 5'11", 5'10", 6 foot. Okay, if you want to maximize that part of yourself and use it to enhance your pretty privilege, guess what? You can be tall and you can also wear some 6-inch heels. Because if you are 6'3" or you're like 6'5" and you're gorgeous, you're definitely going to get a lot of stares. People are going to definitely look at you. And also you want to think about that feature. Okay, so I'm tall. What is the thing about me being tall that I get complimented on the most? I know that for me, I get complimented on my legs being long or my arms and my neck being long. Some people tell me that I look very elegant. So you want to start to think back about all of the positive comments you've heard about your feature. Another question you can ask yourself is, what is my favorite part about this particular feature? So, what's my favorite thing about my hair texture? I know for me, my favorite thing about my hair texture is the shine. I love the shine of my hair. I also love the versatility of my curl pattern. If I want to make my curls look tighter, I can. If I want them to be very loose and ringlety, I can. I don't have to do like a twist out if I don't want to. I don't have to do a braid out. I can do other things like a little flexi rod or like, I don't know, some sort of roller, or literally just try to wrap my hair around my finger. So, what's your favorite part of that particular feature? Another thing that you can do is you can utilize that feature to help you stand out in a crowd. So, like I said, when it comes to skin tone, I've noticed a lot of people, they try to bring smoke to lighter skin women and they'll say, like, oh, well, you're just trying to flaunt your skin tone. You're just trying to be better than them. And it's like, well, no, you actually just think that that skin tone is better than yours. What they're really doing is they are simply utilizing their different skin tone, because obviously the majority of the mono black community is darker complected. So they're actually just using their light skin tone. They're going to an environment where their skin tone stands out. And so everyone has the right to go where they're celebrated. So that includes people who happen to have a light skin tone. So if you get celebrated around dark skin tones or around white people, you have the right to go into those spaces and use that to stand out. So you want to think about this. When it comes to skin tone, whether you're light or dark, you can think to yourself, who complements my skin tone the most? Asian people, I don't know, modeling agencies. For some people, you got brand deals based off your skin. Maybe you want to model for like some makeup company or something. I don't know. But you can ask yourself, who complements my complexion? And what do they compliment about your complexion? Do they comment on how smooth your skin is? Do they comment on the actual color of your skin? Because by the way, there is nothing wrong with loving the color of your skin. I don't care what color you are. There's nothing wrong with complimenting the color of somebody's skin. That is not colorism. Compliments are not colorism. You not receiving a compliment is not colorism. So if you don't believe me, simply look up the definition of the word colorism. So that's something you want to think about, though. Do people compliment your actual complexion, your actual tone? Like, oh, you know, you have a cherry chocolate skin tone, or you have a golden skin tone to where you just blend in when you wear gold and it just makes your skin shine, or you have a sandy skin tone, a sandy beige skin tone. So you want to think about what exact things get complimented about that particular feature, and then you want to think of how to get yourself in a scenario to where that feature makes you stand out a lot. Another unique feature that I can think of is freckles. Let's say you have freckles on your face and usually you cover them up. Well, freckles are actually something that stands out as well. So you want to think about this like, okay, who normally compliments my freckles whenever I let them show? I've noticed that for me, whenever I let my freckles show, I tend to get compliments from unambiguous black men, from mixed race or biracial men, as well as white women. So I've noticed those three groups compliment when I show my freckles. Other people, black women, no. White men, no. But those three groups that I just named, they in particular, they all have complimented me before on my freckles whenever I do show them. They will walk up to me in a bar. You know, a guy walked up to me in a bar before just to compliment the freckles. So that's something you want to take note of. Memorize or replay in your mind every single compliment that you receive. That's just a basic tip for self-esteem and confidence. Anytime you receive a compliment, you want to replay that compliment in your mind over and over again. Oh, well, that means you're going to get a superiority complex. So are you telling me that if I have self-esteem, that means I think I'm superior? The only person that thinks that confidence is a superiority complex is somebody without confidence. And another thing is, you know how your brain naturally memorizes negative things and it naturally looks for problems and kind of like will repeat negative scenarios in your head? That's called spiraling. So it's very common for people to spiral. So let's say somebody insults you. It's very common for your brain to keep replaying that over and over. Like, oh, you're ugly. Your skin is ugly. Your hair is ugly. Your body is ugly. And the way that I combat that is by repeating the positive compliments. So if somebody compliments my freckles, that's why I know which groups of people compliment me the most. It's because I've memorized it. Hell yeah, I memorized it. Hell yeah, when somebody compliments me, I eat that shit up. You're damn right, I sure do, and I love it. I love receiving positive validation. I love receiving positive attention. And by the way, that's another thing that you're going to have to overcome if you want to use your unique features to your advantage. you'll have to overcome the fear of being seen. Because I know that that's a fear that I had as well, especially with my body shape as well. If you have an hourglass shape, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have probably had people policing your body since puberty. Because I know for me, I started getting boobs when I was 9. I started my period when I was like 11. Sorry if that's like TMI, but I hit puberty quite young. And so I had people, teachers at school, my parents, grandparents, people at church, everybody was just policing my body 24/7, trying to get me to cover it up. And so I know that I had a very big fear of being seen in terms of my body because I learned from a young age my body causes an emotional reaction in people. My body causes chaos amongst people. My body puts me in danger. That's actually a toxic mindset. My body puts me in danger of rape. It puts me in danger of being assaulted. It puts me in danger of being molested. That's actually a very bad toxic mindset to teach your children because that woman is actually going to grow up and she's going to have body insecurities. So instead of trying to protect predators, maybe you should call out the man who is looking at that child and sexualizing that child. Because I know that for me, I went through a lot of that when I was younger. Lots of sexualization and fetishization. I know that if you have I know that my particular phenotype, my combination of features coupled with my body type, I definitely was fetishized from the time I was a child. And people would say, you look grown. And it's like, well, what looks grown about an 11-year-old girl? How does she look grown? It's like I was literally 90 pounds. So because I'm 90 pounds and an hourglass and have long hair, suddenly I look grown? No, you are actually fetishizing a child. You're sexualizing a child. And so I've noticed that that's a really toxic culture in certain communities, not just in like the Black community, but also in kind of communities where they're not educated. They will put the pressure on the woman to basically hide herself, and then it causes that woman to potentially have self-hate or a fear of being seen when she gets older. So then that woman can't social climb, she can't enjoy her beauty. What's the point of being pretty if you can't enjoy it? Seriously. What's the point of looking how you look if you can't enjoy it? That's like having billions of dollars and you can't spend it, you can't invest it, you can't purchase a house. Okay, you might as well live in poverty. And I believe that beautiful women have the right to have confidence as well. And so I don't like when people train pretty girls to live in self-esteem poverty. I feel like there's an agenda because humans who have not leveled up, they're naturally jealous of people who they perceive as more privileged. So I feel like those types of women, they have a secret and subconscious agenda to actually harm the self-esteem of women that they perceive as already being more privileged. Has anyone else noticed this? Generally speaking, people tend to hate anyone that they perceive as more privileged than them. And it's like, dude, just admit that you hate privileged people and move on. Like with the whole Nara Smith thing. It's like, just admit that you hate rich people, you hate mixed people, you hate women that marry white men or whatever, or women who they married your crush. You're mad that this white guy chose her and not you or whatever. But a part of using your unique features to stand out, it's overcoming the fear of being seen. It's overcoming the fear of people asking questions about you, because when you're beautiful, people naturally ask you invasive questions. Any pretty girl knows that if you're pretty, you no longer have privacy, because you are treated like a celebrity. So you've got admirers, you've got haters, and you also have people invading your privacy. Is that your real hair? Is that your real face, or is that makeup? Are those your real eyes? Is that your real body? Do you have a BBL? Did you get a tummy tuck? Are you wearing a corset? Are you wearing a waist trainer? So all of those types of questions are typical questions that people ask women who are very pretty privileged, and they're asking you that because they're trying to figure out, how does she look so much better than me? I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. A lot of people, they really do think like this. I know that we don't think like this because we've lived our whole lives in these bodies, so we don't really know what it's like to not be ourselves. But a lot of people who don't have your same level of privilege, or they don't have the same level of self-esteem, they don't view it as invasive. So they're going to ask you, oh, is that your real hair? Or how did you get your hair like that? And so a part of being a pretty woman is you have to develop resilience. You have to develop resilience in social situations, and you basically have no choice but to get used to people constantly questioning you. By the way, though, that actually becomes a privilege over time. And I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about the side effects, kind of the side effect privileges that pretty privilege will actually grant you. And this is why I promote this on my channel. It's because I feel like number one, pretty privilege is easily attainable with a little bit of dedication and sometimes money. And I also feel like pretty privilege helps you to gain other privileges on top of it, such as potentially self esteem, confidence, resilience, because you deal with so many haters. So you develop a very good level of resilience. That is one pattern that I've noticed that a lot of pretty women have, that a lot of non pretty women or women who don't believe they're pretty, I notice a lot of those women, they don't have that same resilience as the pretty women, because non-pretty women are used to being invisible. So I've noticed that whenever a woman who feels like she's not pretty becomes very visible, then she gets very upset, or she wants to run back and hide, or she wants to maybe hide behind the makeup, hide behind the wigs, hide behind the filters, because she's not used to kind of having people nitpick her, or having people perceive her beauty, or having people rate her beauty and compare her beauty to somebody else's beauty. But we all know that if you're a pretty girl, you've already had that your whole life. So that's like nothing to you. You're just like, oh, fuck this bitch. And then you just move on, because you develop a natural sense of resilience as a pretty girl. And so that's another side effect privilege that I want to make sure all of you guys can have access to. And especially for those of you who are new here and maybe you're kind of working on building yourself up. And also, let's talk about this. One of the main reasons people are mad about pretty privilege is because pretty privilege can be utilized as a tool to help you attain the soft life. And so what I teach on this channel, though, is that the soft life is not a monolith, number one. Number two, you don't have to wait for a man to give you a soft life. You can actually decenter men and give yourself the soft life. And number three, you don't have to also be rich to have a soft life. You can start making your life softer today, right now. Please be sure to watch my Soft Life series. You can start making your life softer and then simultaneously build up your own pretty privilege at the same time, just by having beauty hobbies. Because if you think of what the soft life means, all that means is you're not super stressed out. Maybe you've got free time. Maybe you can work on your passions. It means that you're getting rid of micro insecurities. So that's why I promote having beauty hobbies and stuff, because beauty hobbies help you to get rid of those insecurities. If you're insecure about your edges being bald, let's say you have 4C hair and you're insecure because you have no edges. Well, if you develop a beauty hobby of taking care of your 4C hair and putting on some stuff that regrows your edges, not only are you growing your edges and increasing your pretty privilege, but you are simultaneously getting rid of a micro insecurity. So I talk about micro validation and I also talk about micro insecurity. The problem with micro insecurities is that in and of itself, it's not bad, right? Having no edges, you can cover them up, you can pencil them in. But if you have hundreds, if not thousands, of micro insecurities cluttering your brain, well, guess what? Now you can't go after that movie role that you want or that modeling gig. Now you don't believe in yourself. Now you have an entire inferiority complex. So instead of just basic, like, oh, I compared myself to someone and I messed up, let me move on. No, instead of that, now you've got a whole entire inferiority complex that has to be mentally deconstructed because of all of these thousands of micro insecurities that you've been building up over the years. So a part of why I promote things like beauty hobbies is because it's not about the outer beauty. Too many people have a male-centered mindset of beauty, so they think that anything you do to beautify yourself is because of a man. Oh, you're trying to grow your hair out so you can get a black man. Oh, you're trying to do this so you can get a man. You want to lose weight to get a man. Man, man, man. And it's like, no, the reason that I promote it is because of the psychology behind it. Beauty hobbies are a form of self-care. They're very easy and accessible to do because you can literally make your own facials at home and stuff. It's a very low barrier to entry. And then number three, by taking care of yourself physically, you are starting to get rid of your micro insecurities. And then before you know it, you're going to realize, wait a minute, where did all this confidence come from? Oh, it's because I've been working out, eating healthy, doing my facials, putting on my pimple patches, growing my hair out. So all 5 or 10 of those insecurities that you used to have a year ago, now you're feeling lighter because you don't have those micro insecurities weighing you down. So the reason that I promote this stuff is really based more so on self-care, and it's based more so on getting rid of micro insecurities, because if you are insecure about your appearance, well, guess what? What's the first thing that everybody sees? It's your appearance. And yes, I know that is shallow and people shouldn't judge you, but this channel does not promote toxic positivity. So I'm going to tell you the truth. People do judge you based on your appearance. The first thing they see is how you look. So if you feel ugly, if you think you look ugly, it causes you to show up in your social interactions differently. And it causes you to basically not be yourself because you're too worried about, oh crap, my teeth are yellow. Oh, I have acne. My stomach is hanging out. My love handles are showing. I have no edges. Your thoughts are racing and it increases your anxiety if you have all these micro insecurities. And so one thing I want to promote on here is using your unique features to add to your pretty privilege. And I'm not saying that, like, oh, you need to wear your natural hair 24/7, you need to stop wearing makeup. No, but you can go back and forth. You can practice versatile beauty. So I know that for me, I will use freckles as an example. Some days I will show my freckles, other days I will completely cover them up. So you can just kind of do it on and off. You can practice like, okay, I'm going to show my 4C hair one time a month. Or maybe I'm not going to even show it one time a month. Maybe I'm going to take off my wig when I get home. And let's say you're like married or something, or I don't know, you have a boyfriend, you have a sibling, you have roommates. Maybe they've never seen your natural hair. Okay, well, you can do the simple stuff like practice wearing your natural hair in front of others. Maybe you start off showing it in front of your roommate. Okay, now you feel a little bit more confident. That micro insecurity is gone. So now you can show it in front of your family members. Okay, now you have built up a little bit more confidence. So now you can try a twist out, try a braid out, try to do crochet or like Senegalese twists or Marley twists. I think that's actually really cute. The Marley twists on type 4 hair. And that's how you start to get rid of those micro insecurities. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.